Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. Now, you've been hearing me all the time talk about skills, usable skills. And you've heard me talk about the three-man militia and how three-man militia needs to learn skills. Well, I want to go into a little more detail about what kind of skills and why. And I'll tell you, first, I want to talk about everyday skills that we all take for granted. And if you've heard me talk about all this stuff, I always talk about it's the little things that count. Big things, you know, it takes a lot of little things to make a big thing happen. It's the little things that count. And for example, what the skills that we all need on a daily basis is whether we have them or someone around us has them. That'd be cooking. Somebody needs to do the cooking. And then laundry. Somebody needs to be doing the laundry. And then there's communications. And when I say communications, I'm talking about people skills. In other words, somebody has to say hi to everybody, you know, and answer the door and stuff like that. So you have people skills, trying to get cooperation to get the skills needed for the other stuff. And then electronic skills. It'll be you know, how to change the light bulbs, and you know how to use the cell phone and VCR, and oh, I guess they don't even use VCRs anymore. I don't know. I don't watch TV, but somebody with electronic knowledge on how to use this stuff. And then there's mechanicking, and that's anything from you know, fixing the car, changing the oil. I talked about changing the light bulb, leaky faucet, squeaky doors, you know, just plain maintenance, fixing things and stuff like that. And then there's first aid, and I mean, you know, what happens? You bump your elbow, you got a boo-boo, and then you need somebody to kiss on it and tell you it's going to be okay. Hey, first aid, you got to have that. And then there's personal safety. And oh yeah, personal safety. We all use this stuff every day. Every bit of this we use every day. At night, before you go to bed, you lock the door. Personal safety. You're doing it for your own personal safety. So these are things these are skills that everyone needs every day. Now, we may not use these skills, but we probably work and make some money, and we pay somebody that has these skills to do this stuff. Either we don't have the time, we're lazy, or we just don't want to do this stuff. So we pay some other people to do it. Okay, and now, but these are skills that everyone uses all the time, and most people can relate to it in their own home environment. And I'm the same way. Like I say, my home is in Guatemala. So when I am here, all of these skills are being used to care for me. So I just kind of take it for granted. The difference between me and most people is I'm only here a few months out of the year. The rest of the time, I'm no telling where I am. And so I've got to seek these skills daily to keep me functioning when I'm on the road. And I say now it was a whole lot easier when I had my wife, and then she could, you know, she helped out a lot on these skills. Now a lot of these skills I got to pay for them, or be in an environment where these skills are provided. And to do this, normally I either pay for it or I trade my skills. And like I say, my skills, the main skills that I'm able to I want to say profit on would be, like I say, the first aid, but not first aid, it's more health, on pain and improving health. So that's one way, and the other way is safety. And it's either personal safety or, like I say, working with three-man militias for the community, helping the community, be safer. And so, and I give classes on all this stuff. And so these are the ways that I'm able to either profit or trade my knowledge and skills for the other skills that I mentioned earlier. Now, when times are good, we get in a rut and all these skills are taken care of and we're just happy as can be. Now, during a disaster, and you've heard me talk about some of the disasters I've been in. Either I've been in them or I've come after them, like a hurricane. I'd come in after them and help people. And whether it's a natural disaster, economic disaster, you lose your job, that pretty much changes people's lives once they lose their job. Or even on bigger scales, when nations have really bad times in which most Americans aren't familiar with this type of stuff. But it could be anything from financial collapse from different countries. Like I say, I was in Vietnam, and when they had a change of currency, and it could have been a financial collapse if your life was based on financial. And I came in a week after Mexico had their financial collapse. So these things happen, and just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And that's what preparedness is all about. And people that are prepared, they try to prepare for natural disasters along with man-made disasters, whether it's martial law for whatever. And even same thing, a lot of people don't think too much of martial law. I live in it. I've been in it before, and I know it's part of life. But just because you don't see it, you don't live it, you've never experienced it, doesn't mean it doesn't happen. That's why we prepare. And that's why I make a lot of my videos, is trying to help people prepare for something they may not really fully understand and be aware of. And so this is no exception. Like I say, we're talking about the skills. And during these hard times when, like I say, disaster, I'm not so much talking about natural, I'm more talking about man-made, and which it's long-term. And some of the skills that you'll be needing for that will be, like I say, camping would be one, in case you have to bug out, or like I say, if you have camping skills, the loss of electricity or loss of running water could really be disastrous to you. And now here in Guatemala, it's getting better now, but for years we used to have brownouts, and water's contaminated if you can get it, and this type of stuff. Now we're pretty much comfortable on both of those now, and that's because we've become self-reliant, and we've been able to start taking care of ourselves, so we don't depend on the government and the different factions around us to keep our lifestyle up to where we want it to be. And that's what self-reliance is all about. So camping is once you understand the camping concept and how it works, you can do it. And I've given on the other video on exercises to prepare for disaster. I've given you some exercises to do. But I say camping was one of those, learning the skills of camping. One of the other things would be hunting. And it's not nowadays it's funny because a lot of people think hunting it's you know, they're hunters and all this stuff. No, it's a sport. It's a sport. It's a little bit different when you hunt to survive, and so this is what when especially if it's a bug out situation or it's economic where, you know, we're talking about man-made, these are really bad situations and stuff, you're going to need to use such like a bow and arrow, slingshot, pellet guns, trapping. This is the type of stuff that you're going to be doing. It won't be hunting like a sport. It'll be a different kind of thing. And so, and it's going to be the same thing with fishing. Right now, I think, oh yeah, I can fish. Yeah, well, you're doing it for a sport, for relaxation, all this other stuff. But when it gets to the point where it's a thing that has to be done, and then it changes. And so that's, and like I say, spending your day sitting on the bank fishing isn't surviving. You've got other things to do. So you're going to have to figure out other ways to do the fishing. That'll be like the limb lines and this type of stuff. And but like I say, so you have to find out what all these different skills you're going to be using to add to your self-reliance capabilities. As I mentioned earlier, cooking. That was going to be a whole another type of cooking once you don't have the freezer to take the food out of the freezer and stick it in the microwave. So, so cooking becomes more of a specialized skill. And then, throwing the laundry in the wash machine is one thing, but doing it by hand is another thing. So, you know, even simple skills will be changed after disaster, especially a long-term man-made disaster. People skills are going to really be much more important because you're going to have to get along with others. Others are going to help you just like you're going to be helping others to get through whatever situation is going to be arising. And then the electronic, okay, now, like I say, you're trying to work the telephones and you know, all your little gadgets and stuff, but you know, after a disaster, maybe shortwave, maybe CBs, I don't know. You're going to have other types of electronic communications that you're going to be relying on. You're going to be listening to radio. Is it going to be government radio you're going to be listening to? You can start your own radio station. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of electronic type communications that it's going to have to be worked out, especially for your own security and stuff like that. You're going to have to figure out different types of communications. Now, whether it's electronic, ringing bells, blowing whistles, hand signals, flags, you know, I don't know. These are things that you're going to have to work out. So these simple communication skills will start getting a little more complicated if you're unfamiliar with them and don't understand them. So, and then, of course, first aid. I mean, now first aid, remember I talked about the boo-boo on the elbow. Well, when first aid starts turning into big gashes from when you've been cutting firewood, you know, and just accidents like that, now first aid is going to go into a whole nother world. And like I say, it's going to be more of a skill. And so then, not only doing it for your loved ones, your friends and family, but there's going to be strangers you're going to be working on. Strangers with all kinds of, no telling what kind of diseases they got. And so the knowledge base on first aid is just going to just blossom out, you know. So just like all of these skills, they completely increase once there's a man-made disaster, and a lot of times even in natural disasters. Okay, tracking for food. You may have to do some tracking because like I say, you're going to have to get up close. It won't be, a sport anymore on hunting. So you might have to get up a little bit closer. And then handling animals. Right now, most people's handling skills of a cow is in the meat department, fillet or a ribeye. That's the most they know about handling a cow. And so you're going to have knowledge on farm animals to be self-reliant. I'm talking about to be self-reliant for a long period of time. I mean, we're talking about chickens, rabbits, horses, and mules. Those are going to be really useful. You're going to be needing them for gardening, because the gardening won't be the same as gardening as it was before, making sure the roses are doing good. Gardening is going to take on a whole nother aspect. It's going to be really needed, not only for you, but it'll be something you can trade. It'll be a commodity that's going to help you in other fields that you're going to be needing skills from others. So, so even gardening is going to be a big thing. And then, of course, there's going to be the security in the way of gun handling. Right now, a lot of people, they go to the range and they do their thing and all this kind of stuff. A lot of the shooting is a sport, and so gun handling is going to completely change. Even like me, now I am really big in guns and gun handling, and I very seldom do I shoot, because it's not a sport. So I have to handle the gun properly so I don't have to shoot. The idea is don't shoot. Once the shooting starts, there's a chance I'm going to be needing some first aid, and we don't want first aid. I'd rather use the first aid on other people. I'd rather stay safe myself. I don't want my blood being spilled. So a lot of my gun handling is for my own personal safety, and not so much so I have to shoot. But if you handle a gun properly, you won't have to. But there are times when you will have to, such as when I was in the convenience store and they were using their gun, and it came to the point where I had to use mine. And so there are times when we do have to shoot. And I say, I don't do sport shooting. And but all of these are skills. They're all needed skills. Mechanicking is going to be now. I mean, mechanicking like in fixing things and stuff like that. Not necessarily cars and stuff, but that would be one of the things. And motorcycles, stuff like that. But you're just going to be fixing things. One of the things is sewing, and sewing and leathercraft. Sewing would be, like I say, maintaining the clothing that you have, and leathercraft, well, you've seen my stuff. I make a lot of my own gun holsters, telephone holster, my knife sheaths. I make a lot of my own stuff, and it's a very, very useful skill. And like all these skills aren't worth anything unless you have the tools to make the skills work. So, that's another reason why you can't get a whole lot of different skills. You just can't do it. There's just too many things you need to make it work. So the best thing to do is get 2 or 3 skills. Maybe one of those would be something where you need some tools to make it work. And then 1 or 2 others where you don't need much in the way of tools or supplies to make them work. So, but you need to come up with useful skills, and they will be appreciated by everyone. Like say, I use skills whether I have them or I get them from somebody else. Not so much when I'm sitting at home, but if I'm on the road, and I have had, like I say, lost my job and had times were tough where I had to get more self-reliant. That's another reason why I try to stay self-reliant. Doesn't take too many times of the tough times to figure out you want to be able to care for yourself, even in the bad times. This is Mike, NoStressMike.com.